back to another episode of The Preacher and the Prodigy. We are coming to you live on a Friday because last night you had some meetings to attend, but we are ready to rock and roll this penultimate week of the college football regular season, not counting Army and Navy. The week before rivalry week, things are starting to shape and form, yet a lot of questions remain in the SEC and the Big 12, and really looking towards the college football playoff race and the new 12 team playoff.
Are the Buffaloes now in control of the Big 12?
Yes. Well, I
BYU
don't.
loses to Kansas.
I
in the
can't
game you
remember
sat
how
on.
many conference losses Colorado has. It might be even with BYU because I know Colorado lost.
To Nebraska.
Yeah, it is even because Colorado also lost to Kansas State. I think they have the tiebreaker, but they are not the highest ranked Big 12 team. So that's going to be interesting. BYU plays Arizona State, who is now in the top 25. Kenny Dillingham doing a great job. And, guys like Cam Scadaboo, who's kind of a do-everything running back there. There's another game. With
All name team, by the way,
yeah,
also. Cam Scadaboo.
huge implications for the Big 12. We are ready to go. Michigan had a bye week last week, and
So what did they invest their time into last week?
they decided that they would go out just on a every other day and decide that what if we went for the number one quarterback in the country? He lives in Michigan. What if he would like to go to
He
Michigan?
lives like 8 minutes
And
from
so
Ann Arbor.
Michigan calling guys like Larry Ellison, fourth richest guy in the world, Tom Brady, one of the greatest athletes of all time, Dave Portnoy, the CEO of Barstool Sports, like, hey guys, could you give us a little bit of a hand here in trying to bring this guy to Michigan? They and a bunch of other donors collected. The number is like 10.5 million according
That
to
was
some
the number
sources.
reported.
It's
I
like
think Johnny Bacon said this
12
morning it's
maybe?
2.5 per year.
Okay, 2.5 per year in cold hard cash. I believe what LSU was offering was mostly property and only half as much, if even that, of what Michigan was giving him. There's some uncertainty at the LSU offensive coordinator position with Joe Sloan, maybe leading to his alma mater, East Carolina. And so, with all that going on,
I don't think he's going to East Carolina anymore. I don't think East Carolina wants him.
Maybe not if they're not able to keep him, and with the poor showing that he's had in recent games, even though he's had the players to, produce and show out. But yeah, all that being said, Michigan just got the number one recruit in the country, and probably his teammate as well.
His teammate's already in, Elijah
Yeah.
Dotson.
And well, no, but Meadows, is that right?
Well, they're not high school teammates. Meadows is from Las Vegas.
Well,
Where's he
it's like
from?
a kind of combo deal where if Bryce is coming, then Meadows is also coming.
I wouldn't say that's certain, but I would say it's very likely. But how do you feel about this? So how do you feel as a college football fan? We might want to ask our viewers as well and listeners. Let's say you're not a Michigan fan. Let's say you're a fan of another team. Your team can hire. It's essentially what's happening. You're hiring players for your college football team. I mean, I'm happy that Bryce Underwood is going to Michigan. I think he's going to have a ton of pressure on him. Love to see how he does with that, given that he is up the kind of the age of most juniors. He's a very young high school senior. He will not turn 18 until fall camp has begun at Michigan. But there's a lot of pressure. And does it feel right to hire your college football team?
Well, and then this gets brought into the talks about NIL and is it a good thing, is it a bad thing? I think that to this extent, I can't really be too mad about paying large sums of money to players to try and get them to come because I do think the players should get paid. I think that there are times where it gets way too extreme, and then we talk about things with transfer portal and player freedom. I think there needs to be more limitations on how much or what a player can get played. But in terms of making an incentive to players to come, I mean, the $10 million dollar offer was on the table, and Bryce initially rejected it. His Instagram was like all LSU loyal to the Tigers, but
I think it appears in retrospect that number was not accurate. It was pulled out of it midair, and that Bryce was just clowning. But at any rate, it's not that far off.
Yeah,
If it was 4 years, it might be 10 and a half.
But it's came down to, I would assume, his family, because all of his family lives in Michigan, and he is a Michigan-born kid, Michigan-grown kid. Coming to LSU just didn't really make sense to him, and you have the extra money that he's probably going to be getting, and also like everything is turning towards Michigan. If he went to LSU and got the for sure, the house and whatever he was originally going to get there, and wanted to play under Brian Kelly and try to be another Heisman winning quarterback there, that's a lot on himself, and I like the way approach he took to it. Probably thinking more of what his parents would want him to do. His parents wanted him to get more raw cash as opposed to money in real estate, and so I think the decision came more down to that as opposed to the money, although the money was probably a big part of it. So I would.
It is a really weird thing to see the University of Michigan competing in this NIL space, not because Michigan alums and grads don't have the money, as you and I have talked about offline. Michigan has about as much money as any school out there. I mean, they're up there with Stanford and Harvard and Texas A&M as having the richest alums in the world. But Michigan's donors have historically not wanted to put big money behind intercollegiate athletics. They like to donate, as we've said, to cancer research or to, you know, municipal government. I mean, they wanted the school to be a place of education, not a place of sports. So how this happened, I'm not sure. Somebody in Ann Arbor's working overtime, and it's just stunning to see Michigan now offering 5 stars that they didn't offer the first time around, but now that Bryce is in it, it seems like they have an unlimited supply of money to offer an NIL, which is not literally true, but it feels like nobody's priced out of the market except Decorian Moore, who said no for whatever reason. But I don't know how I feel about it. Short term feels like a win. Long term feels like more and more of the sport that we love is being professional.
Yeah, and you also don't know if he could transfer out in the next year or two, depending on how.
I would assume that he can't. Like, I would assume there's like a kicker. Like, okay, it's $7.5 million for 3 years, but most of that comes at the back end because they don't want to invest that much in a kid and then have him go next year go to, Florida or Washington State or whatever. They have to have some sort of agreement in place that this is a 3-year deal. Mm-hmm. So. Anyway, Michigan plays Northwestern this weekend. Not that Northwestern, but the Northwestern of Evanston, Illinois.
The university.
Lousy offense. Can justifiably say they have as bad of an offense as Michigan.
Oh, worse.
Or worse. But defense is, Northwestern is Michigan Junior, and Michigan is already Michigan Junior. Northwestern is Michigan Junior. So the line in this game is
Michigan minus 10.5.
Yeah, it's been between 13 and 10.5, depending on where you're looking. So Michigan is, the Vegas sees this as being something like a 23 to 13 kind of a game.
I think you go first because this would count to one of our 5 games.
I'm going to take Michigan to cover in this game. I think that Michigan, using the bye week, is going to put some things together. It sounds like they're involving some new players that haven't been there before. Will Johnson apparently is still out. I think we may have seen the last of number 2. I'm not sure he wants to risk draft position by going up against Jeremiah Smith or Emeka Egbuka in the last game of the year in Columbus. I think Vegas knows what this kind of game is going to look like. It's in the 40s, not rainy, but cold. I'm going to say that Michigan wins this game. I'm going to go Michigan 28, Northwestern 13.
I'd be happy if we scored 28 points. We didn't really get to introduce this, but through the year, picking the 9 Michigan games, which we missed one of them, you are 100 points even, so you're just barely above 11 points on average off of the Michigan score, and I am at 108 points, so I am exactly.
But it's the Michigan game score, not just Michigan's point total.
Yes,
it is you take the differential between Michigan's points and the other team, add them together, and on average them off by about 11. You're off by about 12.
Yep, and through picking games against the spread, you are 2 games ahead of me at 30 and 25, and I'm 28 and 27. So
Yikes.
yeah, it's getting a little close.
Okay.
I will take. See, this is an interesting game because in recent years, Michigan has had tough times putting away teams. The game before Ohio State, with the exception being 2021 Maryland, when Donovan Edwards had one of the best games of his career. Um, I will take Northwestern in this game, but I think it's going to be 20-13. I don't see a lot of offensive firepower. I see Michigan as just bigger up front, and guys like Kalel Mullings will kind of wear down the Northwestern defense, 4 yards a pop. Nothing too spicy. Dominic Zavada gets some action, and defensively, it's just a sound defense where it's the game's never really going to be a put away, but that Northwestern really isn't going to be doing much on offense. So give me Michigan win this game 20-13.
Okay, I'm going to officially adjust mine just down one, 27-13. I see it more likely Michigan getting 2 field goals than 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
27-13, Michigan wins. But I think that in this case, you're going to see Michigan play better offensively. And
I think so too, but it's not like
and I do think they could get a defensive touchdown in this game as well because the Northwestern offense is so lousy. Would it be so surprising to see, a pick six for Makari Page or something like that? Not really. 27-13.
All right.
We disagree.
Moving on to Norman, Oklahoma for the ABC primetime game where the Sooners will be hosting the 7th-ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. Alabama, again, is in that interesting SEC title race where there are 3 8-2 teams. Actually, 4 of them, and all of them have beaten each other. It's kind of like, the tiebreakers.
Maybe like the 7th tiebreaker or something like that. Played
Alabama,
paper, rock, scissors at a Buc-ee's in Chattanooga.
Alabama's favored by 13.5. This, again, is a night game, so Oklahoma is going to be rowdy. They need one more win at least before the end of the year to make bowl eligibility. They're sitting at 5-5. So that could feed into the energy here. Also could feed into the energy that this is another big matchup in the first year for the Sooners in the SEC and kind of giving the king of the SEC a little taste for what could be coming in the future. I don't really know how this game is going to go. I'm going to take Alabama because I think I trust what their safety valve is, and their safety valve is okay. We'll just let Jalen Milroe go crazy.
Let him run.
And if Oklahoma plays good defense, there's always that part of the game that Oklahoma can't really account for without giving up too much, defensively on the back end. Give me Alabama to win this game, something like 35-16. I don't see a lot going on for Oklahoma offensively. There's some uncertainty at quarterback there. Brent Venables has not necessarily been an offensive-minded guy. Give me Alabama to hush the crowd.
I agree. I mean, Oklahoma has disappointed me when I picked them earlier this year. So fooled me once, fooled me twice. Not the third time. I'm taking Bama. They're just a better football team. And Oklahoma is kind of in a very similar place to Michigan, where they just are going to have to make some changes in the offseason. Mm-hmm. Venables is further in his tenure than Sharon Moore, but both of them need some retooling, especially on offense. And I'm with you. I think Bama, just top to bottom, has a better football team.
All right.
Give me Bama.
Moving on, one of the 3 top 25 games this week, the 19th-ranked undefeated Army Black Knights at 9-0 head to Notre Dame. And
this game in South Bend?
This game is in South Bend. It is another night game. Last time Notre Dame played a military academy, it did not go well for the military academy.
Right.
They beat Navy, who at that time was also top 25, 51-14. This game, Vegas is only giving the Irish, or having the Irish give away 14, so they see this one as a little bit closer. Again, this is a night game.
Why do you think it would be different from against the Navy?
I'm not really sure. I don't know why this game is so low. I think we would both agree. I would assume you're picking Notre Dame because I don't really see. I mean, maybe this is a look ahead thing for Notre Dame because next week they play rival USC, but I don't see it.
Rival USC, yeah. I don't know. I mean, what does Vegas know that we don't know? It seems obvious to me to pick Notre Dame. Too much diversity on offense. They're playing really, really well lately. I'm not going to think about it. I'm going to take Notre Dame.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. Unless Vegas really thinks that Army is able to control the clock.
Yeah, that's the thing. I suppose if you're arguing for a service academy, you're just saying they're going to shorten the game, that Notre Dame's going to get a grand total of 5 drives in the whole game or something like that, because Army's going to go on these 9-minute marches.
But I just don't see how that's going to happen against big guys like Howard Cross up front for Notre Dame, and it's a different animal when playing against a Power 5 level opponent.
Regrettably, we both take the Fighting Irish, the Fig Thing Irish.
All right, we are just mentioned them, the USC Trojans, rival of Notre Dame. This is always a very exciting game. Stay up for this one. USC heads.
What is the best thing about this game? You know it. Both teams
wear home uniforms. That's what it is. USC wears their red and gold, and UCLA wears their powder blue and golds.
It's time for the annual soapbox. Michigan, Ohio State, and you do the same thing.
Yeah.
Only wear homes in this.
Blue on blue, and then maybe red on.
Just blue against red.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have black and white TVs anymore.
Yeah. USC is favored by 5. Again, this game is on the road, even though it's like I don't know how long of a trip it is, under an hour. But home tickets will be sold to the Bruins. This is a 9:30 game, so stay up, drink your caffeine beforehand, because there will be a lot of fireworks going on in Los Angeles. Usually this game has ended in a lot of points. Could be different this year because neither team has lived up to what they have been. At least USC hasn't, because both of these teams are still fighting for bowl eligibility. I get to go first. I'm going to take USC only because of how Ethan Garbers has played in the last few games. He didn't do really anything against. Well, actually, I might be wrong on that. I did think he had a pretty nice game against Iowa. But anyways, the way that Jade Maeva has filled into his role, used to be the backup. Now Miller Moss is not playing, and he is starting for Lincoln Riley in that Trojan offense. I do just see 5 is interesting because this game always ends up like 48-45.
What is the over-under on this?
I would have to look it up, but give me USC to win this game something like 37-28.
I feel like these teams are going in different directions. I think UCLA is getting better as the season wears on. I think USC is not. I'm going to take the Bruins. They always play over their heads in this game against USC. And so I'm going to take UCLA at home in the Rose Bowl to give, what is their coach's name?
Foster?
Yeah, Deshaun Foster, a big win in year 1. And to cause continued soul searching in the world of the fight on.
And to put Los Angeles on the map, because according to Sean Foster, no one in the Big Ten knows where that is. And the big one, the Fox Big Noon game. All eyes will be on this game. They head to Columbus again because, when in doubt, just head to Columbus. I mean, we already saw, Fox head to Ohio State Marshall because they didn't have anywhere better to go. This time it is a big game, though, because they will be hosting
undefeated
Kirk Cignetti's 5th-ranked Indiana Hoosiers.
Newly re-inked contract.
This game is the same line as the Michigan game. It is Buckeyes -10.5. There's a lot of ways you could go with this because you don't know how Indiana's looked or will look against better teams. They've destroyed teams not as good against them, and yet they almost lost to Michigan 2 weeks ago. On the other hand, Ohio State, this is the week before Michigan, but that doesn't usually seem to be a problem with them, and they also have, the 5-star talent that Indiana just does not have.
Yeah, I'd love to pick Indiana in this, but I'm not going to. Again, continue to think Ohio State's the best football team in the country. I think they're going to win the national championship this year, and I think they're going to beat Indiana by 2 touchdowns. 34-20 Buckeyes.
I think this game opened up at 2 touchdowns, and then it came down, so maybe Vegas knows something. Yeah, everything in me wants to pick this game to be like 38-31 Ohio State. But I also, I just don't see it.
Indiana hasn't really beat anybody any good.
Yeah, it's Michigan and Washington. That's it. But
that's what
good. Yeah.
They had the big win out in UCLA, but that was before UCLA kind of got it together. They haven't played Penn State. They haven't played Oregon. They haven't played Wisconsin. They just
Yeah, it's just I think that this is going to be kind of the football gods will be telling Kirk Cignetti, okay, come back down to earth. You're still not at the top of the food chain yet.
He got the Mel Tucker contract, like the overreaction, lock him up because he's awesome. But maybe you just have the stars align in year one. I don't know. Maybe Kirk Cignetti is the next
Maybe.
Bill Belichick, but I don't think so.
Ohio State to cover this game to the tune of 34-20.
That is exactly what I just said. All right, we agree. We said the exact.
I don't even remember that. Okay, fine.
We got a recording.
We'll make it 31-17. I actually like that score better. 31-17.
All right.
That'll wrap it up for week 13.
So we disagreed on 2 games and agreed on 3 games.
Other
So
news: G-Pack action playoffs start this week. First round, Northwestern gets a bye, and Dort is nowhere to be found.
Dort is. They're working on the Dort Blades hockey season, probably.
Yeah. Recruiting for cross country next year.
They can run.
They're fast. They're really. That's kind of. That's a legit program up in Sioux Center.
Yeah. So Northwestern will play next Saturday. Hopefully that game is on TV and you don't have to pay like $19
it's gonna be a road game, but I don't know how it's
concurrent with the game Michigan has in Ohio, which the early line on that is 23.5.
Yeah, I have my thoughts and feelings about this, as you would assume, but
well, we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah, I will be missing the first hour of the game, unfortunately, because I have basketball practice. Whether that's for the best or for the worst, I don't know. But I would still like to watch a Michigan-Ohio State game because you don't get, 100 of those in your lifetime. Unless you live to 100. But...
All right. We'll see what happens next week. As you said, this is the penultimate week. Next week, we wrap up the regular season. It's gone fast.
It's fun. Yeah.
And then Michigan fans everywhere will be turning their attention to recruiting.
And basketball.
Tell them I'm the preacher.
I'm the prodigy. Peace.
All right.